Sahana vavatu Sahana bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, peace unto us all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to everyone, welcome to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. Now we are doing the study circle on Gita Vahini, a commentary written by Swami, which was published in a series in Sanatana Sarthi, now compiled as a book. And on the soft copy, we are going to start on page 21, and in the hard copy on page 34. And it starts with the paragraph Kshatam. Kshatam means dukkham in Sanskrit. So Swami starts there so that it is how it is connected to Kshatriya, because Kshatriya is the warrior and Arjuna is the warrior. Swami is connecting to that to give him a message. So last week, to recapitulate, as we said, three things are part of the scriptural studies. One is Shravanam, you listen carefully. And second, Mananam, you contemplate on what you have listened. And third is Nididhyasanam, you put into practice. That is the most important. For that, we need to be active listeners. A lot of times it happens in our meetings or in the study. What did we discuss? Some people remember zero, some people like 20%, 30%. At least what the discussion was, at least if we remember, that is worthwhile. So just see, that is what I learned from Swami when he used to give discourses. It is good. So after the discourse, Swami sometimes used to call us in. How was the discourse? We said something very beautiful. Okay, what did I tell? And 50% of the people don't even know. So I used to already memorize during the discourse. When I'm listening, these are one to at least few points. So you need to, this is good active listening so that it sinks into your head, particularly spirituality. Still, they repeat so many times. The Lord Krishna in Gita, same message so many times. Swami in such size speaks, Vahinis, he repeats so that at least to remember. So to recapitulate what we discussed, we talked first Shadvikaras. Anybody remembers? That is the sthiti and jayate and vardhate and viparinimate, apachiyate and vinashyate. Sanskrit words that is used. So here the thing is, for simple in English, so everything first existence comes. We all have an existence. Then you take birth. After birth, you grow. Everything, whether animals, human beings, plants, everything, once there is a birth, they grow. And after that, you get the viparinimati. Changes happen. Even in trees, right? They become thick tree and then leaves, and after a while. And then you just go down, appreciated, downhill course, which happens for human beings after the age of 60. And for dogs, I heard it can happen even after age of 9. So their lifespan is 12 years is equal to our 100 years, somebody was telling. So everybody has that downhill. Finally, Vinashyate, you disappear. So we should not feel pessimistic. Oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to get old. But so what to do? That this is just to see that this is a fact of life. Nobody can change. Even if you are a king, you are a president, or you are even a great sage, wealthiest man on the earth, that is a sequence. Nobody can change it. You will be born, you will grow, you will get old, you will change, and you will die. But why this is telling, so you make the best use of the time you have. Like the King Parikshit, he knows he's going to die in 7 days because he was cursed, he was not that old. The minute you know I'm going to die in 7 days, I know one of my friends, he says, they said he's going, my God, my children, I want to take the biggest insurance, $1 million insurance. Okay? Who will be losing insurance? He is more still thinking of cheating the insurance and more interested in the family rather than how to attain God. Whereas King Parikshit, he has a kingdom. He's a great king. He forgot it, let it go. This is all temporary. He went into a shore, river shore, and because he is such a sincere spiritual seeker, this sage Shuka came and taught him this Bhagavata Purana, the Leelas of Lord Krishna and the Lord, within 7 days. Because he focused so much, it didn't take 7 years, I think 7 days, because of his focus on God and listening, he attained God. So that is what, and there are other stories also, how even he doesn't take that log. What is that king, one king? So in the fraction of a second, because he helped the devatas to win a war. Does anybody know that? And then they give the boon. What do you want? He says, I want to know when I'm going to die. They said in a gadiya, that means within less than an hour you are going to die. Then that time is so much focused, and then he attains God. So it doesn't need how intense one is. Otherwise, we may spend all our life in spiritual pleasures. We will never attain God. There's a beautiful story in Mahabharata. I want to share that. King Yayati. I don't know how many of you know. He's Yayati. He was the predecessor for Kauravas and Pandavas much before them. This Yayati is a very good king, very good and good ruler. He has a lot of devotion. But he has one weakness. He goes after sense pleasures. He wants some sense enjoyments. So he had one wife called Devayani. She's the daughter of sage Shukracharya. So he was there. But he has that weakness. Because of that, he takes mistake, and then the sage curses him. You'll have premature old age. So suddenly he becomes old man. So he felt so sad. What to do? He has 5 sons. But the sage said, only way you will get back your youth is somebody should be able to take your old age. And you can take the youth from them. You are ready to give your youth for the old age, even if so. He has good 5 sons. They all love his father. He goes to first son, second son, third. Father, anything I will give you. Give good food and nice thing. Forget about giving our youth, because they all decline. They don't want to share the youth. Only one son, the youngest son, called Puru. He says, "Okay, Dad, you take my youth, and I will take your old age." He becomes old instantly and become young. So the scripture Mahabharata, this is an Adi Parva, says he could be youth for 1,000 years, say even few hundred years. He enjoys, but still he was not happy. Then he realized there's the mistake. Swami says that sense pleasures is like bottomless pit. So there's a pit. Every pit has a bottom, right? After a point, it will fill up the pit. You put something. Bottomless, there is no bottom. So just go on putting, it will go on. You can never fill it up. So sense pleasures are the more you enjoy, the more you want. Another thing is adding fuel to the fire. Oh, I enjoy. Okay, let me have this next tomorrow. You want to have more. You're adding fuel to the fire. So he realizes that after that. Then he gives back again. He's okay, now I'm ready to. This is a lesson that if you follow sense pleasures, you will never end and you will never be happy. Whereas like King Parikshit, who has complete devotion. So even though he was a great king, he has everything at his disposal, and one of the most righteous kings. But he realized the transitory of life, and the ultimate goal is realization within 7 days. Still, I'm not able that person. He just realizes instantly there is another great king. So anyway, that is one story. And then Swami also talked about the duty of everybody. We talked about the various kind of dharmas. Everybody has dharma. Dharma means right conduct, we loosely translate, but the highest is not right conduct. We all have different role to play, like depending on the gender, whether a woman or a man, your role is different. Whether you are depending on your age, you are a student or a householder or a recluse or a sannyasin. And depending upon your aptitude, whether you are a thinker or you are a businessman or you are a warrior, so or you are the unskilled labor, depending on that also you have your dharma. But the highest dharma is Atma Dharma. This is called Swadharma. It transcends, because this sex, age, gender is only for the body. And then this aptitude is only for the mind and intellect. So, and then the same thing with the ashrama dharma, that is a student, that is also for the body. But this Atma Dharma is transcends gender, age, stage of life. So that is what we should focus. Everything is focused not on the changing thing and focus on the unchanging. That is the where we discussed. So now you can start on page 34. Shatam means dukkha.
Sairam.
Yeah.
Shatam means dukkham, sorrow, and a Kshatriya is he who saves beings from sorrow. A chance like this to wage a war on behalf of Dharma against the forces of Adharma comes but rarely to man. You have been blessed as a Kshatriya to take part in this Dharma Yuddha. Just imagine how much merit you will acquire by this service to the world, which you are set to do now. The war that is waged to establish Shanti and Sukha, peace and plenty, in the world is referred to as Dharma Yuddha. And this is just such a struggle where justice is bound to win. The Kauravas have desisted from being no sin, no injustice, and no vice. They insulted elders, deserted the virtuous, defamed the chaste, and wounded the self-respect of the good. Countless are their misdeeds. Now, the moment for retribution has come. They are about to answer for all of their crimes. And just at this hour, if you behave like a poltroon, you bring dishonor to your parents, your brothers, and indeed the entire Kshatriya caste. You imagine that it is a sin to engage in war. That is a great error. The sin, on the other hand, lies in avoiding the chance to destroy the wicked, in prolonging the agony of the virtuous. Give up your dharma now, and you run the risk of falling into perdition. Hold fast to it, and you are untouched by sin. Be of fixed mind. Do not give way to either one or the other among all the dualities of the world. From the 31st sloka of this chapter, Krishna has spoken of this Swadharmanishta in 8 slokas. Do you want me to go on?
You can stop so far we can discuss.
Yeah. I find this statement that the Kshatriya is he who saves beings from sorrow very powerful. It reminds me of when Swami Vivekananda repeatedly tells spiritual aspirants and sadhaks that we should all be fearless. When we sort of identify with our body, and we're obviously identifying with the ego, and it's really the ego that breeds fear. So a lot of this is Lord Krishna really trying to explain that having this fear will sort of keep you in that darkness almost. And he describes all of these things that the Kauravas do. So everything that they are representing is kind of that darkness, that attachment to ego. When we don't when we don't think about the fear, we don't let the fear control us when we're in this sort of battle that we really call our lives, but we are guided by knowing that there's this oneness, that that Atma exists within everything and everywhere. We will follow our dharma, and we will attain that peace, and we will bring that justice to all of humanity. But it's really a lot about being fearless. And I think in every aspect of our lives, whatever we encounter or do, there's that fear sometimes that can paralyze us. And when we remember what our duty is, and our duty is really to, do service and to serve God essentially, and to serve the Atma within, you start to lose that fear, and you're able to advance a lot more on your path.
Very good point. That is where the Swami Vivekananda, I'm happy you brought it up. He said if the message of Gita, one thing, there are many messages. For him, what appealed is Abhi, be fearless, be fearless. That is why one of the favorite shlokas for him is Klaibyam masmagamah partha chudram hrudaya darbhalyam tvaktotishta parantam. In life it happens. He says, he was just, that when he throws away all his arms, and then he goes and he's, you can despondent, sad, depicted in that. So he says, Chudram, he says, despicable is to have the weakness of the heart. We all get when they encounter the challenges. So easy is you want to run away from the situation. He says, and he says, get up and fight. So he's infused like a motivation, how the personality of people say the motivational. So Lord Krishna himself is a motivational. Just despicable is this cowardice. Just get up and fight. That is what. So this Abhi, the fearlessness, that is why Swami, in avatars, all avatars, I shared that before, you have 2 things called Abhaya Hasta, Varada Hasta. That means with one hand, be fearless. Another hand, Varada Hasta, gives on giving boons. So you want health, you want wealth, so he goes on giving. Most of these temples you can see, Abhaya Hasta, Varada Hasta. But Swami's is unique. You can see, even there are other picture, double Abhaya Hasta. There are many pictures where with both hands, even when we have seen him giving darshan and going out, he goes like that. So double Abhaya Hasta. Be fearlessness is very important thing, because whole life, as you said, these people are overpowered by fear. Fear is the reason for so many sins and mistakes people do. Like this guy gave you the example of Yayati. What was his fear? Fear of losing youth. And somebody's fear of losing power, president election, they do all bad things because they want fear of losing power. And fear of losing wealth. Somebody's a rich guy, he says somebody's trying to, he has fear of losing wealth. And fear of losing name and fame. Somebody's there, you slander. If you are clear, you don't need to worry about it. Fear of losing name and fame. So, and fear of losing beauty. As we get older, you lose your beauty. People who focus mainly on the beauty. So everything is fear of losing something. So finally, the most greatest fear is, for most of the all beings, fear of losing life. That is death. So the most, once you know the true nature, the Atma, then they won't be have any fear. So that is what the whole installation is. And this Arjuna is not an ordinary guy. People, let me tell you, he's the greatest hero. He won so many. He has Pashupatastra. He has with one pointedness, he could even hit an arrow, just even the bird's eye. So he is. That is why Lord Krishna teaches. He's such a great man. When he encountered this close kith and kin, like we talked about Bhishma and Drona, his favorite grandfather and teacher, and his teacher Drona, he was unnerved. So why? Because of his attachment to his kith and kin. Then Lord Krishna says, yeah, your dharma as a Kshatriya is to fight. So important is Swadharma. That is why Lord Krishna says, Swadharmo Sheyohi Swadharma Paradharmo Bhayapaha. Trying to imitate somebody else's dharma is not good. So each one of us are good in something. So you try to do is somebody is good in writing, somebody is good in talking, somebody is good in sculpture, somebody is good in art. So that is your own dharma. You do whatever dharma, you do the best. That is why we all need to do whatever dharma you do to the best. Here also I will tell you a beautiful story, which is we shared before. It is also Mahabharata in Vanaparva. So this is a story of called Vyadha Gita. So there was a great Brahmin who used to do a lot of tapas, austerities. You know, when you do that, you'll get siddhis, powers. So he was doing this meditation. Suddenly he was under a tree and a crane put a little shit on his head. He was mad. My God, I'm doing these things. He looked at it because so much power that crane dropped dead. Then he became egoistic. Yes, I got so much power. So he was, that is the danger. First he got power is okay, but he is thinking about things. Then he goes to, they need to live on alms. So he goes to a place and go to a lady, house lady's house. He goes there. He asks, mother, please give me food. She says, please wait. I'm taking care of my husband. Because he was massaging his feet and feeding his husband. That is for the Indian scriptures, the highest duty of a wife is to take care of the husband. And I don't know, he was ailing or whatever. So she delays a little bit and comes. Then this guy looks angry. How could you make me wait? I'm a Brahmin of the highest order and I'm a holy man. Then she says, I'm not a crane to be burned. He gets a shock of his life. How does this lady know that the crane was died in the forest? Because she got, this guy got power because of his japa, meditation and all that. She got her power because of being a good housewife, doing her duty as a dedication to God. She says, Mother, how did you know? So can you teach me? He says, no, not me. There is a guy in Mithila, that city, go there, he will teach you. There is his name is Dharma Vyadha, his name. Go there, he will teach you. He goes in search of that. He goes to the city and Mithila, I want to see this guy, Dharma Vyadha. They say, oh, such and such place. He goes on, finally finds. So he says, he sees this guy is hanging the meat, big mat. He's a butcher. So he goes and cutting meat and giving to people. He says, why are you, sir, here? So I came to learn from you some spiritual knowledge. This lady has sent me. Oh, really? Me to teach you spiritual knowledge? You look like a great Brahmin. No. She told I had to learn from you. Then he says, okay, this is not the right place for me to teach. Let's go home. He takes him home. And he says, how are you a butcher and how is you such a holy man? He says, not the profession, what we do. It is how you do it. It makes difference. He teaches, you can read in the Mahabharata, this is called, like we have Bhagavad Gita, Vashishta Gita, and Buddhava Gita, many Gitas. This is called the Vyadha Gita, Dharma Vyadha Gita. So that Dharma Vyada, this guy butchers Gita. But he tells, in a life, we all encounter different duties. But how do you do that? That makes the difference of the whole Swadharma. That is where he talks about. So if you are a man of aptitude for a businessman, do the business well without cheating anybody. If you are a thinker, think good things, like Swami says, the commerce without morality, politics without principles, education without character is not only useless but dangerous. So whatever work you do with the human values. So that is what Dharma Vyadha teaches him. So it is not because you are a butcher that you won't see. Then this man is, so it is a opening thing, because depending on your profession, you think, hey, how can a butcher have a spiritual knowledge? So this is this is also one of the favorite for Swami Vivekananda in his talks on karma yoga. That means or duty. He used to quote this Dharma Vyadha Gita. So how even though whatever profession you do, still you can. But you need to all remember. Remember, we talked about how do you do your duties. 3 main things. Whatever you do, number 1, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, one-pointed attention. Right now, we are doing the study circle. Mind should be completely only on that, nothing else. One-pointedness, whatever we do, that is what Arjuna is known. But that butcher, that time he was cutting meat, and that's all his one-pointed. Second thing is Kushalam, yoga, whatever you do to the best perfection in action is yoga. There's the second thing. So whatever we do, you read art, you are a student, you are a writer, just don't make so simple. Nowadays, people even the text, emails, I can show every day. That means they don't care about the details, not that to be picky. Really, if you are offering to God in the flowers we are putting, do you put the flowers which are shriveled, which have stains, food which is not spoiled? You won't do that, right? And same thing, you're offering every action to the Lord. And he sees you are doing. So it's as much as you pay attention to the flowers, fruits, or the food, you be careful about what kind of action you are offering to the God. So Kushalam, yoga is perfection action. And third thing is equanimity. So just whatever you do, because you're dedicated it to God, you don't have doership. He is the one who is doing you through you. So you dedicated it to God. So these 3 things, and this guy, the Dharma Vyada, was an example of that. He showed how he was doing the meat cutting, but that's all he was focusing, because that time he didn't want to teach him spiritual knowledge. Let us go home. That is a separate thing. They don't mix up. And second thing is, he used to, whatever business he did with honesty. And third is, he was not worried about the consequences, because he dedicated to God. He had confidence he will have self-realization. That is why the lady housewife, she sent him all the way to learn from the butcher. So this shows Swadharma is very important. Okay, you can continue. Anybody else has comments? Yeah, so please, if you have comments, questions, please add.
So one thing that comes to mind is why that there's such duties for everybody, that why we don't do the duty. Many times we get, that's what is pointed out by Swami also here. We think something else is correct, and we get distracted and we don't do our duty. And then we, of course, he had the Lord and by side to tell him what is his duty, what he needs to do. And of course, our Swami has been with us, and through this Gita Vahini, he has been telling us also. So we forget often what we are supposed to do, and then our Lord comes to the rescue. So I was thinking a little bit deeply, what is the reason for this forgetfulness of not doing the duty? One is ignorance. We clearly see that, because many times we think that is correct, this is not. Another thing is this mind constantly thinks about one thing, that what it doesn't have. So for example, Uncle mentioned about Parikshit. He was a king. He had everything. So the moment he knew that only 7 days he has everything. There's nothing else he needs. So people might say, hey, he had everything. Because of that, immediately he thought about God. So that is what he did not have. He didn't have that realization. So he asked the right person at that time, the Guru Sukamar Rishi was there to teach him. So the other example, what he gave us, that the person who was thinking about the insurance and putting $1 million, the person, he doesn't have the $1 million he wants to give. So the one thing that the mind thinks is that what I don't have, so I don't have money, so I have to earn money, I have to do this, that. The one thing that really taught me some lesson is contentment, that how Swami taught us is, be content with what you have. The moment we have that contentment, that means we are not, or the mind is not looking for something else, then we will be properly thinking about our duty and we'll start doing the right things. The reason is that often that part of contentment, Swami many times he tells, who is the richest person in the world is the person who is really content. And if you are content that I am having everything every time, and we have pay our thanks to Swami, you have given everything to me. Why I'm saying is the yogis, what the difference is, they may not have anything in the world. They may not have even a hut to live, but they are content that God has given. The moment we have that, we have everything that Swami has given, and that is all we need. That's it. Then we will be doing our duty, and automatically everything will follow. So I just wanted to mention that, what I kind of sign up.
No, there is an important point. Like she talked about fearlessness. Another important quality of a devotee is we are doing the quality of a devotee. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridhanishchaya. She is content, not sometimes. Santushta satatam, always content. Because sometimes we are content. You want to buy a nice car, you got it. That day you are very happy. But again, next day something else start the trouble, this and so you want to buy a house, or you want to have a husband, you want to have a wife. So just for a few days or that day it is happy. But santushta satatam, and it's not easy, as I shared this before once we were in the interview room. Swami was asking who is the richest person. So that boy said, that time there was a young boy said, Sultan of Brunei. And Swami tries to, that guy goes on putting his head, Sultan of Brunei, Swami Sultan. Hey boy, that is not, he is the richest. The one who is content, complete santushta. One who is content is the richest. Because you have desire. If you are a billionaire, you want to become trillionaire. If you're a trillionaire, you have one kingdom. That's why all the kingdoms, kings, they go on invading. And even in scholarship, you want to learn one Veda, you want 4 Vedas, or you want 1 Nobel Prize, you want 2 Nobel Prize. Grand Slam, you win one time, you want to win again. Singer, you got award, you want to again award. So everything bottomless. You always want one thing, you want more. But who is the one who is Atmanyeva Atmanatushta? Unless you have really realized the self, you will never be content. That is the only way. The one who revels in the self only will be content completely. Other one, as long as your joy is dependent on outside things, depending upon wealth, you want to have more, or depending upon people, family, friends, name, fame, anything outside your happiness is dependent, you will always be disappointed. But when you are dependent in our own self, which is Atma, which is always there with you. There is nobody you are dependent in. You are Atmanyev Atmana Atushta. That is what we talked in the 2nd chapter. Sthita Prajnasya Vochyate. He revels in himself. He doesn't care what other people say, others do, other people. Because he knows his real nature. So that is then only will be real contentment comes. So that is where all the spiritual practices are for that. What is Karthi? We have some other comment. Okay, go ahead.
There's a comment online.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a question, but a comment. Just listening to these stories and teachings makes the heart calm and composed. The breathing becomes stable and gentle. It is something that we know, and yet each time we listen, it gives fresh inspiration, peace, and purpose. This is something special about divine things. The story of Yayati was so beautiful. May we always keep time aside every day to spend in listening to and contemplating on these things. Sairam.
Yeah, that is one thing nice because, as you said, how do we know we have peace when you hear good things? That is why famous the scriptural quote, Badram karne vishunyama devaha, Badram pashyema kshabirya jatra, Serairangais tustuvagum sastanubi, adema yadam yadayu. That means, Lord, that's why the whole thing, they don't say, oh, you have this. Let me hear good things. Simple, I hear good, hear no. Let me see good things. Let me use my body and all the limbs for the good of others. So Lord bless me. That's all. That is why Swami says spirituality is easy. Think good, think no evil. Hear good, hear no evil. See good, see no evil. Speak good, speak no evil. Do good, do no evil. So that is why it's not easy, but at least we don't harm others physically, at least I believe the side word is don't go and beat up people. There may be some people who knows. I don't know. Yeah, so I know in Prashant Limited itself, somebody was telling they saw that happening, so sad. Some senior devotees beating up others. So physical things. So then speaking harsh word, yeah, that we see so often that you should. But the ultimate thing is thinking negative thoughts. That is the hardest for me. I try. As soon as the thought comes, right away, you should try to neutralize it by good thoughts. So the best way is Swami stories, like they were talking about any stories of God, divine stories, repeating his name, that right away it neutralizes. Swami says, bad smell is there in this room. What will you do? You cannot vacuum it right away. So you put some nice incense stick. Right away you feel the nice smell, right? Same thing, good thoughts, God's name, God's glory, singing bhajans, or doing service. All these are good things which drive away the bad thoughts. That is what the best way to. That is why these people are so happy, as he was telling. They're like Ramana Maharshi just had a loin cloth, nothing else. And he was so happy. That is why they say, Yogaratova, Bhogaratova, Sangaratova, Sangavihina. Isya Brahmani Ramate Chittam Nandati Nandati Nandatyeva. They're so happy because they are just, there's no attachment. They are always thinking of God. That is why I say, Nandi, you go to Shiva temple, what is there? Nandi is there, the bull. It is always the very fact Nandi is called because it is so happy. Why? Why is it so happy? It looks only at Lord Shiva. It doesn't say who came this side, whether they're offering my coconuts or not, or money or not, what is happening. Our complete focus is only at Lord Shiva, nothing else this side. That is why it is always happy. Nandi is Ananda always, is very happy. So if you want to be happy, completely focus on God. Don't look this side, that side, this thing. And there's one pointed focus, then we'll have happiness. But you have more comment?
There's a question this time. On one side, Swami says, have higher goals and work hard to achieve them, but leave the end result to God. If we are content with whatever we have, how can we set goals and achieve them?
Okay, so that is a very important thing. Swami says you should always aim high. Low aim is a crime. So what is the aim? There is in life essential and non-essential, eternal, permanent. You aim high in attaining God, in doing help like yajna, that means service to the whole humanity. There your aim should be high. I want to spend more and more time thinking about God, doing more and more on service. For the worldly things, you should not have high aim. Instead of you have got $1,000 or about 10,000, oh no, 1 million. Well, that is not good. That is not that low. There, the higher aim is a crime. Here, the higher aim is good things. Same thing, I want to be more powerful. Instead of one king, I want to achieve thing. That is crime. Anything where it is selfish end, that means for self-aggrandizement, That is for your own selfish ends, attaining more wealth, more name, fame, power. Any of those is not acceptable. But whenever it is towards God, there's like Sri Ramakrishna is the greatest example. They say he's mad after God. He says, another day is gone. What is the use of me living? So you should have that madness. He says, everybody in the mad, people say he's a mad saint of Dakshineshwar. That is the name he had. Then Swami Ramakrishna said, everybody is mad. Somebody is mad for wealth, somebody is mad for friends, somebody is mad for power, somebody is mad for name and fame. I am mad after God. This is the best madness. If you choose a madness, that is the best madness. Swami himself said that. Pichini tappinchu, pichini pogottu, satya sai shanti premadai. He says, you will get rid of your madness. How? Madness of the world. And he'll make you mad after Swami. So, and he says, Kanniru teppinchu. He says, he will make you get rid of your tears of going after the world, and will make you have divine tears, joyful tears, thinking about God. So, in answer to that, so you should not have in the temporary things which change this high goal. They should not hanker after the worldly pleasures and worldly gains. Only our one-pointed thing should be after God and divine things. Good.
I think few weeks before also I discussed, and you beautifully explained. This is one thing that question, this same kind of question came. Low aim is a crime, and how is contentment? The first thing to realize is that no matter what, Swami is, you should try, you should do the work as you are, like how the 3 points we discussed right now. We have to do the work. The result, you leave it to Swami, but still you have to work that way. But when we are working that, the outcome is you will be still content. You're not disturbed or anything. You're still in that same equal mindedness. You're doing it. Then you are doing the right way. Then that contentment is. Then you have contentment, and also you are doing the right thing. How you do acting. The best thing is that the example that immediately that this kind of thing comes is this Uddhava. There is a devotee of Lord Krishna, Uddhava. So he was telling that to Lord Krishna that why don't you tell the gopis that the jnana, the realization that God is everywhere. They are mad after you. You should tell them. Then he said, I don't know how to say it. Please, you go and tell them. Then he gave okay, I will write a letter, and he gives the letter to Uddhava, and Uddhava takes the letter to the gopis. The gopis, we all know how much they loved God, how much they loved Lord Krishna. There is a very beautiful, can go on, there's a pravachanam that's going on, like you can have days and days of about that particular episode. But in essence, what happens is, Uddhava comes to teach the gopis and about Brahmanyan, about the realization of the self and the highest thing that they need to realize. And it's not Lord Krishna. That's what he wants to tell them. And he comes there, and the gopis, the devotion of the gopis is so supreme. We all know how much the parabhakti that they were even the letter, they just pulled the letter and everybody had a little piece of So then they tear into pieces and everybody is looking and they're putting in their eyes, and then they were so happy that they have got a piece. And he was very upset. That letter was, people did not even read it, all these gopis. Then he was talking to Radha, why are you guys like this? And you are always crying for Lord Krishna. You are sad, and why you are not. Basically, you are not content. You are crying for him, and you are in pain. When he said that, Radha answers that point. Why are you saying we are in pain? You are giving pain right now. We are thinking about Lord Krishna and happy all the time. Then is you're crying. Crying doesn't mean that I'm in pain. I'm always thinking about, everybody is thinking about Krishna, they are happy and they are content. So now the thing is, you're coming and talking about some Brahma. We don't know about all this, what is Brahman, all those things. So you take it back. We are already happy. We are content. Then he realizes what the beauty of this is, that happiness that they are enjoying, then he actually gets the jnana of the bhakti, and that is the real the true devotion. Finally, there's no difference between true devotion and the Brahmanyan. Then he understands, he learns from them. The whole point here is that they are content, and they are content because they are one with the Lord, like Narendra uncle said. But that is the aim that we should have. Once we have that thing, that's
Yeah, that is good. Yes.
Just one last comment. Higher goal, like higher learning, should be high in nature, in quality, and not quantity.
Yeah, that's why we agree with that. Everything is quality. Swami says, I'm not worried about the quantity. Even people say, Swami, in our center we used to have, I did that. So in the beginning we had only 20 people, suddenly increased to 60 people. Swami, hey, this is all you learned from me. I'm not interested in quantity. I'm interested in quality. That is why Swami is very particular. Just you need to focus on good quality. For that, intensity of love for God, that is important. That is where the advantage for us, all of us lovers of God, we get together, talk about Him, sing His glories, do His work. That intensifies our love for God. That is the way, that is the purpose of the whole thing. Otherwise, if you don't make use of the simple basic thing, that is why Lord Krishna tells Arjuna there is a gap between knowledge and practice. Everybody knows, all of us know what to do good. You think you don't need a big thing. Yeah, everyone knows because we have been studying Swan. But how to practice simple things? Don't talk too much. Just watch silence. People cannot keep quiet because they want to chat. Who are you? Where did you come from? That's why when in Prashant, I remember one lady said, "Where are you from?" She says, "I came here to know where I am from." That is why, because we are from. So that is a good. So always you are interested in somebody else, where you came from, how many people they have, where the children, where they're getting married. Why are you interested on that? First, practice simple thing. Focus rather the time on God. Live in the present. Right now we are focusing on study circle and bhajans. Let us focus on that bhajans and remember at least what we sang. Just then will be going closer and closer to God. Okay, Sai Ram will continue.